Alright, today we're going to be learning about the quadratic formula. And what is its purpose? Now, the quadratic formula is this particular formula. Hold on 1 second. Do another screenshot. I want you to write x equals negative b, that's a b, plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4 times ac all over 2a. Meter here. That's what you guys want to write down in your journal. So this formula right here, this is what's called the quadratic formula. The quadratic formula has one purpose and one purpose only. It does this. It finds solutions to any quadratic equation. It finds solutions. What are solutions? Wherever that parabola hits the x-axis. All right, so we have to figure out where are we going to get A, B, and C. We're going to write standard equation. This is your standard equation for the quadratic equation, for parabolas, okay? First thing you have to make sure is you set it equal to 0, okay? So let's look at our equation right here. It says 3x minus 9x squared equals negative 10. Okay? So this whole equation is not perfectly set equal to 0. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to move this guy up front. That's your a value. So negative 9 is going to be the a value. The a value is always in front of the x squared. That 3x, I have to move it back here. So put plus 3x. And take that 3x and move it back. And the last thing I have to do to get this equation set equal to 0 is I need to add 10 to this side, and I need to add 10 to the other side of the equal sign. So that zeroes out, and I'm left with a plus 10 equals 0. All right, so now that I have everything in this particular form right here, now it's all organized. Now I know what my a value is. What's my a value? Negative 9, very good. Then I need to find my b value, which is a positive 3. And then my c value is 10. Okay, now I'm going to highlight these. All right, I'm going to highlight A, B, and C in 3 different colors. Okay, so remember your a value is in front of the x squared, your b value is in front of the x, and your c value is whatever the constant is at the end. And then what do you do with these? You take them and you plug them in. Okay? Sorry, that's up there. B is supposed to be red. A is right here. Now, there's something that I would like us all to do first. And see this right here, this b squared minus 4ac? That has a special term. That is called the discriminant. Okay? So the discriminant is b squared minus 4ac. This is what I would like you to start with. So step number 1. Okay? Set your equation. Set equation equal to 0. Okay? I'm going to put parentheses. I'm going to write the word, make sure it's organized. What does organized be? It needs to be an ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. So that's the first thing you need to do. Step 2, we're going to write the words find the discriminant. And the value of the discriminant is b squared minus 4ac. So that's the first thing that you're going to do after you organize it. You're going to find the discriminant. All right, so the first thing we're going to do right now, all right, first thing we're going to do is we're going to find the discriminant. Okay? Give us a little bit of room to work with. So here we go. Here's our problem right here. So what is our b value for our discriminant? 3. So here's what I need you to do. For right here, I'm going to put open parentheses, squared, minus 4 times open parentheses, open parentheses. For my b value, I'm going to plug in a 3. Okay? For my a value, I'm going to plug in a negative 9. And for my c value, I'm going to plug in a 10. So all of this, I'm going to just plug that into the graphing calculator, okay? And we're going to get our answer for our particular discriminant. Just go to your calculator. Just remember, parentheses matter, so just use your parentheses. Okay. Figure this out. I'm going to open up the parentheses. 3 squared minus 4 times, was it negative 9? And then our C value is 10, I believe. Okay? Press enter. What does it say? 369. Okay? So that's equal to 369. Now I'm going to highlight that in orange. Okay? Because after you find the discriminant, after you find this value, all you do is you just take it and you plug it into the quadratic formula. Like, where do I plug it in? You plug it in right there. Okay? So right now, after you find the discriminant, then step 3, plug in all your information. Okay? Plug in your information. Now, what's my information? I'm going to rewrite the quadratic formula. The more you write it, the more you will remember it. Negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2 times a. So I'm just rewriting it. Now we just plug things in. If our b value is 3, that says what? Negative b. So what am I going to plug in? Negative 3 plus or minus the square root of, what number was b squared minus 4ac? What did we find that to be? 369. So we put 369. Okay. All over 2 times my a value. What is my a value? If you look at the top of the screen, what's the a value? A value. Okay. All right. So all we have is negative 3 plus or minus the square root of 369 all over a negative 18. Now sometimes you can simplify this radical. Now we're going to see if we can simplify this radical. Alright? So, by the way, if you're wondering like what numbers would go into 369 and you weren't sure, you could use that special way I showed you guys. You could take what? 369 divided by x, check your table. Hey, look. What are 2 factors of 9 and 41? Ooh, that's going to be helpful. So here's what we have to do. We're actually going to have to simplify this radical 369. So I want you to understand what we're going to do next. We're going to simplify the square root of 369. Now to simplify this, we break this down into its factors, 9 and 41. But 9 breaks down to 3 times 3. So what am I able to take out of the radical? I can take out a 3. What stays inside the radical? 41. So this is the simplified version. So if I have to simplify this, it becomes 3 radical 41. So here we go. Negative 3 plus or minus, but instead of the square root of 369, I'm going to write 3 radical 41 all over negative 18. Now, what number goes into a 3, and an 18? 3, right? 3 goes into all of it. So if I go 3 into 3, what is that going to become? 1. 3 into 3, that becomes a 1. 3 into 18 becomes a 6. So here is your answer. Negative 1 plus or minus radical 41 all over a negative 6. I'm going to write the word or. Here's another way that you could write it. If you have a negative in the numerator and you have a negative in the denominator, what could happen to those negatives? They could cancel out to a positive. So your other answer could be 1 plus or minus the square root of 41 all over 6. Both of these answers are what's called your exact. All right, some of you might be wondering, well, how do I check this? How do I make sure that I'm doing this correctly? Okay, so I'm going to go to Desmos. Okay, I'm going to go to Desmos, and we're going to type in our answers right here. What was the original equation? Was it 9x squared? Is it 9x squared? Is that correct? I'll go back up and I'll take a look at our original equation.
Well, it was 3.
Oh, hold on. Negative 9x squared plus 3x plus 10. So I got to go over here. So I got to put negative 9x squared plus 3x plus 10 equals, so I don't put equals 0. Does everybody see that negative 0.901 and that 1.234? Okay? Those are the approximate values. Now, here's what I want you to do. Go to your graphing calculator. Okay, go to your graphing calculator. I would like you to get alpha y equals m. Okay? And I want you to go right down here. Look at your, right here. Okay. Does everybody see 1 plus or minus square root of 41 over 6? Here's what I want you to do. I want you to do 1 plus the square root of 41 over 6. And press enter. And then I want you to do 1. So alpha y equals m. 1 minus the square root of 41 over 6. Look at that decimal. Now, what does this round to? This rounds to 1.234. That's an 8 or higher that rounds up. This stays negative 0.90, but instead of that being a 0, it's going to be a 1. What were our answers on Desmos? Right here, negative 0.901, 1.234. These are called approximate answers. Okay? What are your exact answers? These are your exact answers. This answer right here, if I separate this answer into two answers, 1 minus the square root of 41 over 6, or 1 plus the square root of 41 over 6. This one was approximately equal to 1.234, and this one was approximately equal to negative 0.901. But you'll notice that all of your answer choices are exact. They're not approximate values. You can't just type the equation into Desmos and automatically find your solutions. Okay? We go over here to our answer choices. Which answer choice best represents our answer? Which answer choice? D. Like Mr. Moody, you had a positive 1 and a positive 6. But what did I say? I said you had two answers. A negative 1 and a negative 6, or a positive 1 and a positive 6. Okay? So this would be our correct answer. Okay? Now what we're going to do is I'm not going to do any more up here. I'm going to do your problems. Okay? So go ahead. I saw your hand first. Go ahead. Tell me what you see. Maybe it might be somebody else's problem. Go ahead. Negative 8. X. Plus 10. Negative 3x squared. Like that? Does that look exactly like yours? Okay. Now listen, is this all set equal to 0 right here? No. By the way, just because this might not be your problem on problem number 1, it might be problem number 2. So if you get it done now, you already have the answer. Okay? So go ahead. Here's the very first thing we're going to do. We have to set everything equal to 0. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add 12x to this side, and I'm going to add 12x to this side. Okay? So here I have 4x. Here I have 10. Here I have negative 3x squared. Is this in the correct order? No, it's not. So we have to move this up front. Negative 3x squared. We got to put plus the 4x in the middle and put the 10 at the end. And then set it equal to 0. Now I can identify A, I can identify B, and I can identify C. Our A value is negative 3, our B value is 4, and our C value is 10. Negative B plus or minus the square root of B squared minus 4AC all over 2A. So step number 1, we're going to find the discriminant. So I'm going to write B squared minus 4AC. What are we finding? We're finding the number that we plug in right there. That's the number we're trying to find to plug in. So what is our B value? 4. Okay, so 4. What is our A value? Negative 3. And our C value is 10. So I need to get this taken care of first. Alright, so go ahead and do it while you guys are writing it down. Okay. 4 squared minus 4 times negative 3 times 10, I believe. It says 136. Okay, so all I'm going to do is right here, I'm going to write what's that equal to? 136. Alright, so we found our discriminant. Now it says negative b. So what am I going to start with? Instead of negative b, I'm going to plug in a 4. So negative 4. Plus or minus the square root of 136 all over 2 times my A value. Well, what is my A value? Looks like my A value is negative 3, so I'm plugging in negative 3. Okay. Alright, so now we have negative 4 plus or minus the root of 136 over negative 6. Okay. So now what we have to figure out, are there any in this square root of 136? Can that be what? Simplify. Can I simplify this? Alright? Well, how do we figure out the factors? Do you remember what I need to do to figure out the factor? We get y equals. I change that to 136. Check my table. Alright? Got 8 and what? 8 and 17. That works, right? Let's go ahead and put them right there. Let's break it down. Break it down into an 8 and a 17. 8 breaks down to a 4 and a 2. Why do I 17 just breaks down to 17 and 1? That's it. So you just keep it, right? And 4 breaks down to 2 and 2. Hey, I got a pair. So what comes out of the radical? A 2. What stays inside? A 2 times a 17, and 2 times 17 is 34. That's your simplified radical. This simplifies to this. Okay? So negative 4 plus or minus 2 radical 34 all over negative 6. Now you think you'd be done? You're right, but you can divide everything by what? So I'm going to slash that off and put a what? 2. Slash that, put a 1. Slash that, put a 3. So here's your final answer. Negative 2 plus or minus square root of 34 all over negative 3. Now what did I say about these negatives? If you have negatives, what could the answer also be? Positive, right? So I'm looking for one of those two answer choices. And I guarantee you, now that's not going to be on my screen because that wasn't my problem, but I bet one of those two answer choices is on your screen. Did I do that problem beforehand, or we just do it right now? Just right now. That was the answer. Okay? All right, I see L squared's hand, I see Corjan's hand.
So when you have that, does it matter which one you choose?
When you have it, they're going to have this answer or they're going to have this answer. They're not going to have both. Okay? All right, that's fine. All right? So L squared, here we go. Give me yours. Okay. Now what I'm going to do, L squared, I'm going to take this, okay, and I'm going to move it across. If I move it across the equal sign, that becomes what? Negative 7x squared. So here we go. negative 7x squared plus 7x plus 9 equals 0. Okay? You're going to notice this is going to go a lot faster as we do. Okay? What's my a value? Negative 7b. C. Boom. Now, very first thing we're going to do is we're going to do b squared minus 4ac. So I'm going to do 7 squared minus 4 times negative 7 times 9. That's the first thing I'm going to do. I'm going to find my thing called the discriminant. So I'm going to go ahead and type that in right now, then I'll go back to the screen. There we go. So I'm going to put open parentheses. 7 squared minus 4 times, was it negative 7? Times 9. Okay, press enter. What's that? 301? Okay, so boom, that's our discriminant. 301. That's our discriminant. So when I write negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a, if that says negative b, the first number I'm plugging in is a 7. That makes it a negative 7. Plus or minus the square root of 301. And what's 2 times a? What's 2 times negative 7? Boom. But negative 14. Now, I have a sneaky suspicion that you see that answer right there on your screen. Do you not? Do you see it? All right. Now, here's why. Check this out. If I did y equals 301 divided by x, and you're checking, what are factors? 7 and 43. Guess what? Those are both prime numbers. So you cannot break down that radical. So when you can't break down the radical, if that is simplified, then guess what? You're done. What makes this one easier than the other problems? Because the other problems, what did we have to do once we had to do what? Take that and simplify. Here, it's already simplified. So that's your answer. All right, go ahead, Keisha. What you got? Negative 7 x squared plus 7x plus what? Plus 1 equals negative 8. Okay, now what's the first thing we got to do? So we got to add 8, right? Both sides. So what do we get? Negative 7x squared plus 7x plus 9 equals 0. Now, I'm not going to tell you what the answer is. But what does that say right there? So my suggestion is, if it's the exact same question, I have a feeling it's going to be the exact same answer. We just did that one. It may not have, notice, you see this one is, it started out different, but what did we get it to? We got it to what? Negative 7x squared plus 7x plus 9. Yours didn't start out the same way, but we got it to this, so you're going to have the exact same answer as what we just did. Okay? So that's what you guys are going to be working on. All right?